Kurt, brother, how are you doing?
Oh man, you look like a Minecraft character.
Wait, with what?
Your internet looks like a Minecraft character when you first turn on. Oh man,
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm sorry for
that's
that.
okay. We can still hear your beautiful voice, so I know I'm ready to hear your beautiful voice for another hour. How are things over at Toyota for you? How are things over there?
Oh well, the snowed in, and Monday we didn't go to work because obviously that's when the snow was kind of still on the roads and stuff, still unsafe. But Tuesday, went to work and got a whopping 2 hours. I worked on one vehicle, my gentleman. Today I had my day off, so I'm closing on a home. So give praise to the Lord on that. So guys, officially going to be a homeowner, and it's time to kind of really grind as a technician. If I wasn't grinding before, which I was, now it's time to grind even harder because now I got a lot more on the line.
Now you got some responsibilities.
Yes, I do. Now I'm a big boy. I'm finally an adult.
Hey, congratulations, man. I know it's exciting and intimidating and all in one. It's awesome, and I'm happy for you. And it's nice to see you grow, man. You're growing like a little tree, just sprouting.
A little tree out there, a little sprouting, just like an idea, just like the idea of this podcast. How it started from a little stem all the way to, I don't know what kind of tree we are now, but I do know that we have a special guest that has spent a lot of time in the service department. Has been a service advisor, has been a salesman at one point too. A service manager, and now he mentors service advisors all around the world. I wonder if he's been out of the country, but he does it all around the world. Paul Dosescu. Can't wait to interview him, man.
Yeah, a little quick fun fact before we get into this episode is I actually worked with Paul for about 6 or 7 years. We worked at the same dealership where he was an advisor and a service manager. So I got to live and breathe some of those things. So it's pretty cool.
What? That is awesome. That's just cheating at this point.
But I'm excited to get into it, and I know there'll be a lot of useful information, especially for. I know we're going to focus a lot on communication, so I hope we can use this one and learn from it.
100%. Can't wait. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of the WOTPod, starring the best co-host in the nation. As you see, Curtis right beside me and me, Jalid, you already know, and we got a wonderful guest today. Paul, thank you very much for hopping on. How are you doing, and how have you started in the automotive industry?
Man, I am great. I'm excited to be here with you guys tonight. Thank you for having me here. So I started in the automotive business about 15 years ago. I was just thinking about that today. So it was late 2010, maybe it was early 2011. About 15 years ago, I actually started off as a salesperson. I started off as a sales guy for a while, and did 9, 10-ish months or so in sales. And then my GM said, hey, you look like you've made a lot of friends with the technicians and the service advisors. We need some help over on the service side. Would you be interested in doing it for 3 months and tell us what you think about it? And I said, you know what? Let's give it a shot. And then I made service my home. And I've been in the fixed ops world ever since.
Wow. Just a 3-month trial. Just go get at it.
Yeah, I just said, you know what? At least I can get off at the same exact time every single day. So
you're all right. Were you guaranteed?
Yeah. So what's that?
Were you guaranteed for those 3 months, or was it just like sink or flow? I mean,
no, I was guaranteed for those 3 months. Yeah, I was guaranteed for those months. Yeah. So I didn't have to just kind of figure it out. I mean, I kind of did, because that's what we do in the automotive business is here you go get them, Tiger. I call it Tiger training. Welcome. Here's your name. Here's your badge. Go get them, Tiger.
Yeah, I had no idea you started in sales. Look at you now. You came a long way. 15 years. I mean, that's about how long a time I've been doing it. I for like 16, but yeah. Luckily I didn't have to go through that sales jump. What is that? You said 15 years. So can you run us through that? What does that look like for you? What's your journey from sales into where you're at now?
Yeah, so I would say count kind of the first 3 quarters of a year in sales. And then I spent from 2011 to 2018 working my way through service advisor, senior service advisor, service manager. And then in 2018, I left the dealership world and I moved kind of like, I call it the post dealership world. It's just where I'm in a training and development role now. And so my title is National Training Consultant. And what I do is I train service advisors throughout our country, really. I'm kind of on the fence if I can be called an international trainer. I have trained once in Guam, which is kind of US, but kind of you need a passport to get there. So I'm on the fence if I'm international or not. But nonetheless, I've spent the last 8-ish years or so in a training and development role. And my main focus is training service advisors. I have some accounts in which I actually do development work with the service management team, but most of the time it's service advisors. So, and that's what I do today.
I mean, in 7 years, you ended up going from service advisor, senior service advisor, into service manager. How did you make those steps to get to that position so quickly when it's taken others at least 15 years or more to get to such a high prominent role?
Sure. So the organization that I worked for, one of the things that they really prided themselves on was the overall customer experience. We knew that we were charging the customer for a premium product, a premium brand, and we knew that we were charging the customer a premium price for the services that we offered. We were not the cheapest in town. Customers did not need that particular vehicle. You did not need to pay that much money to have transportation. And so one of the things that was a high focus was the overall customer experience. And I got very good at that. I got very good at the customer experience. I got very good at making the customer feel valued, earning their business through doing what I said I was going to do, through keeping my word, through being professional, through being courteous, and just really demonstrating those company values. And so that's what really allowed me to get through the ranks and be able to earn the position.
Yeah, it's having good customer experience is one of those things that, it's not easy to come by. You got to, trial and error a little bit. You have to build your skills up as a communicator. And I know that I've learned that communication is one of those things could be top 5 valuable skills for people to have these days. And what is your take on that?
Yeah, it's I like to say that it's the number one key to success and the number one key to failure. It is 100% a skill that has to be practiced. I am an excellent communicator when it comes to work. My wife will tell me that I'm not an excellent communicator because sometimes I don't communicate as well. And so it's absolutely a very long journey. It's understanding how you come across. It's the way we say things. There's so many times that it has nothing to do with what it is that we are actually telling a customer, but it is the way that we tell a customer. Take a scenario, you got a 2024 comes in, a couple years old, 21,000 miles on it, car's under warranty. Customer says, hey, I've got a problem. It's this. We get it into the shop, we get a good write-up, get it to a qualified technician. Technician looks at it and goes, hey, I can't duplicate this problem. I know that they're having an issue, but I can't duplicate it. I can't find a point of failure. I don't want to tear this car apart and take things apart that don't need to be taken apart. Now, as a service advisor, we've got a mission. We can go to the customer and we could say, Mr. Curtis, my technician look at it. We can't duplicate your problem, and we're just going to have you pick it up and just drive it and just let us know if it happens again. That's almost guaranteed to make the customer feel upset. They're going to go, well, you guys don't want to fix it because my car's under warranty. Guess what? As soon as it comes out of warranty, you're going to say, hey, we found it. We know what it is. We have a fork in the road that we can take there as advisors, or really as customer service individuals. We can do that, or we can go and we can say, Mr. and Mrs. Customer, here's where we're at on your vehicle. This is what we've done. Here are the steps that my technician has taken in order to diagnose this issue. Now, we know it's a real problem. Here's our diagnostic By the way, are you familiar with our diagnostic process here at ABC Motors? Can I tell you a little bit about what we do? Here's what we've done. We did this and we did this, and the technician checked this and we did this. We have not verified any points of failure. Now, the last thing I want to do is take your car apart and give you false hope that we fixed it when we don't really know what's going on. What I've done is documented that you have this concern at 21,000 miles on this date. Can we make you a part of the diagnostic team here? And when it happens again, can you let us know if it's safe? Can you take a picture? Can you take a video? You take the time to deliver a message like that to the customer, and then they realize, okay, you're actually trying to help me. You're just trying to look out for my best interest. Will it work 100% of the time? No, it doesn't. But it works way more often than just, hey, I can't duplicate it. Come get your car.
No, dude, that sounded great, man. You made me feel like I was part of the diagnostic team.
Yeah. As a service advisor, and this is what I tell a lot of the people that I have the privilege of being in front of, you have a person that comes in and they look at us as being a middle person. You're just the middle person between me and the tech. Let me talk to the tech. And what we really are is we're the link between the consumer with a problem and the technician that can deliver a solution. And we facilitate that open line of communication to resolve a problem that they either cannot solve on their own or they should not solve on their own. If you bought a car that's under warranty and you got a problem with it, a genuine problem, you should allow the dealership, the manufacturer, to resolve that issue for you. And if we can convince the customer, that's the wrong word, if we can get across to the customer genuinely the idea that, hey, you're a customer that brought the car to me. You probably think that because of a lot of people that you've dealt with in our industry that I'm looking to take advantage of you, but that couldn't be further from the truth. What I'm actually here to do is guide you through this process that, by the way, we've designed to be a good experience for you. Allow me, please, to take you through that process. And not only do I not want to take advantage of you, but I actually want to show you that we can give you a value, that we can resolve this for you and solve this problem. If we can genuinely get that message across to the customer, whether it's through the sincerity of our voice, through the tone of our voice, through the way that we promptly answer when they reach out to us, to the way that we, I don't know, just say hello to them when they come in or whatever that might be, then we're doing a small thing to turn around the last 50 years of this industry.
Yeah, with one visit, I mean, some people change their minds. Then they start talking to you about their friend. Talking to their friends about you. And then out of nowhere, their whole friend group is coming to the same dealership and going all to you. And then you're looking like the king of the town.
Yeah, there are people I remember to this day from when I was a service advisor that would, they would look for a new car and they would say, okay, well, I don't know what I want, but I know I want to buy whatever it is brands that you guys sell because the brand that I want is your company, not the logo on the car. Yep. You know, I tell a lot of service advisors that we build value in three things, kind of call it the value triangle, if you will. One of the first things that we build value in is ourselves. You got to like me. I gotta come across to you as someone that's genuine, that's interested in what you have to say. You got to like me first. I got to build value in myself. The second thing that we build value in is the product itself. Customers don't come in and they go, hey, I have a check engine light on. And we're like, well, of course you do. I mean, you drive a insert brand, right? Like, no, we think that the cars that we service are actually good, high quality cars. So we build value in the product itself. Another element of the product is the actual customer service. We see people all the time that will come up to us on the service drive and go, you know, I used to take my car for so-and-so, but I don't go there anymore because, man, I just can't get anything done there. They don't call me back. And what they're, you know, you guys have great reviews. What they're there is, they're not there because of the workmanship difference. They don't know that yet. They're there because they believe that the product that they could purchase or take advantage of is the level of customer service or customer care. And the last thing that we build value in is the actual brand. And sometimes it's the brand of the car and sometimes it's the brand on the building.
Yeah. The importance of that value building and you hit like on a really important topic a little bit ago was the value of the diagnostic process, the value of the technician, the value of, you know, could you maybe go into a little bit more detail on the value of the technician and how that can be explained and portrayed to customers when money or objection does become an issue?
Yeah, absolutely. Take the most classic phone call, one of the most classic phone calls we can take on the service drive. Hey, my name's Bob. I got a 2011. It's got 188,000 miles, and my check engine light is on. I went to AutoZone, and they used their thing over there. They told me that I need a new Cadillac converter, which is really weird because I drive a Ford. But whatever. I just need to know how much money it's going to cost me to turn this light off. And we take that phone call, our service advisors, and we go, "Oh yeah, Mr. Bill, or whatever name I used." I can't go off of the, AutoZone thing. That's not really a diag. I got to get it to my guy. It's $185 to diagnose it. That rolls towards the cost of the repair. I could take you in Tuesday. And that guy hangs up and turns over to his wife or whoever's with him and goes, "Man, I just called the dealer and they want $200 to tell me what's wrong with the car. And I already told them what the problem is." Customers always round up. You tell them 151 and they go, "That's $200 with your taxes and fees." and we fault the customer a lot of times for starting off at AutoZone. They just don't know any better. Maybe they don't know any better. What's a diagnostic? A diagnostic is a diagnostic, right? One of the most impactful things that we could do as a service advisor is pull back the curtain a little bit and really display what our technicians do. "Hey, Bob, I can appreciate that you went to AutoZone to try to get some information. Sir, if my check engine light was on in my vehicle, I'd want to know why too. I'm curious, are you familiar with our diagnostic process here at, ABC Motors?" You ask a customer a question like that, and they're going to give you one of three answers. "Paul, I don't really know what you mean by that. I've never been asked that question before. What do you mean diagnostic process?" Great. I can then say, "Hey, let me tell you a little bit about what we do." Or they'll say, "Oh, yeah. You guys got your computers in the back. You hook it up and you tell me what's wrong." Again, false. Then I could say, "Well, that's not really the full picture. Let me tell you about what we do." Or very seldomly, they'll go, "Oh, yeah, I was just there a week ago and I know what you guys do." Oh, great. So then you're familiar with our process, right? In either case, I can say from there, "Well, Mr. Bill, let me tell you a little bit about what we do. So if your check engine light's on, that means that your onboard computer is detecting a problem. It's the start. It's kind of like when you get an email and you get a subject line and it tells you there's a picnic, but you got to open up that email to really see what information's in there. We've got a proprietary software from insert manufacturer that allows us to communicate fully with the vehicle. Our technician from there can go to that specific area of the car and do more in-depth diagnostic testing. We may need to do more than just pull fault codes. We may need to remove components to do in-depth electrical testing. If that requires special tools, we have an entire room full of special tools here to take things apart. We may need to check for technical bulletins, documented repairs, any open recalls, any open concerns. We have access to all of that within the manufacturer's database. We may need to drive your car. There's a lot of steps that go into it. And once we do all of this, we're going to arrive at a breakdown of parts and labor necessary to fix your vehicle. The cost for that is $185. Now, it takes some time to do this. Are you prepared to leave it with me for half a day or more? My availability begins on whatever that date is, right? We approach the customer with a presentation like that, and it's not going to work 100% of the time. There's going to be some people that will cut you off and go, how much? How much? Right? I get it. But the vast majority of people, if you can hit them with a question that helps them understand, I don't know what actually happens. I need to listen to this person so they can tell me what actually happens. Now, none of the things I said are a lie in any way, shape, or form. Our technicians do all of those things. They don't do all of those things for every single concern. The car's overheating and they pop the hood and there's a belt shredded up. There's not a lot of in-depth diagnostic testing on the electrical system they need to do. They're going to go, "It needs a belt." And then I need to retest. But all of those things can be a part of whatever it is that the customer has a concern. And not only does that help us justify why there's a dollar amount associated with it if we charge that, but it also helps the customer understand there's a time that a qualified technician spends on this vehicle. I can't expect that car to roll to the back and I get a text message with, "Oh, it's this," 3 seconds later, like the printout of 17 possible things the guy at the AutoZone place printed me out. It helps us build value, not just the dollar amount that we charge, but also the time that it takes. And also, if the customer has 2 or 3 concerns, we may ask them for 2 or 3 different diagnostic charges. And it's very valid because we have to do that entire process all over for those 2 or 3 different things. Unless we go down that road and we realize they're connected and we just go, "Hey, Mr. and Mrs. Customer, these are connected. You've got one problem. We'll fix it." And we're going to be honest about that. I think one of the most powerful things that we could do as service advisors is communicate the value that a qualified technician brings to the table. I have nothing against AutoZone, O'Reilly's, Advanced Auto Parts, whatever those places are. But they are not a direct competitor to the franchise dealer model that has factory trained technicians with $100,000 or more in tools and diagnostic equipment and hours and hours and hours of knowledge and busted knuckles. The people that work at AutoZone, they're often just enthusiasts. They're people that like being in the automotive world, and that's fantastic. We need people like that. They will change out your battery or test your battery or change out a light bulb or your wiper blades because they like that stuff. They probably have a future in the automotive business in some way, shape, or form, but we are not in competition with them. And the worst thing that we could do as service advisors is make the customer feel dumb for starting there. We want to validate that effort. Hey, I can appreciate that you went there. If my check engine light was on too, I'd want to know too. I can appreciate that you started there, but can I please share with you the full picture?
Yeah, that's 100% how we'd all really want to start off instead of, ridiculing the customer for choosing AutoZone and saying, hey, I need this replaced. Even when they start rude, I've seen in many cases, what do you think about this? Like in many cases, the advisor will, like, after the customer says, oh, I went to AutoZone, here's this. Sometimes their advisor will be like, well, we could either go with the diagnostic way through the shop and like how you said it and how you presented the same way, or if you don't want to pay that, my technician could replace that part, but then you'll be liable for if that part isn't going to fix that because you thoroughly are the one that diagnosed it, not the technician. So,
yeah, I mean, I see no reason that if a paying customer walks in and goes, I want this job done, as long as it is legal, oh, and not even that. As long as it's legal, as long as it's not, dangerous. Like oh my gosh, what's something that's really sketchy?
I want my rusted 2003 Tacoma that might break if he puts the lift under it and the new leaf springs in.
Yeah, exactly. I want you to do something as long as it's legal and it's, it's safe. If a paying customer asks for something to be done, hey, I want you to replace my water pump. I have a lifelong policy where I replace my water pumps in my vehicles every 100,000 miles. I don't care. It's preventative maintenance in my mind. Okay, that's fantastic. I would just ask questions like, okay, Mr. Mrs. Customer, I'm curious. Why do you think that you want your water pump replaced? Happy to do it. I'm just curious what you're looking to accomplish with this. And if the customer says, oh, this is what I want because that's what I want. Excellent. I can do that for you. Now, if the customer comes in and goes, hey, I have a check engine light and I went to AutoZone. They told me that it was a oxygen sensor, and I went and talked to your parts person. They have an oxygen sensor here for my car. I want you to replace this for me. I'm going to say, Mr. Mrs. Customer, I can appreciate that you want us to do that, and I'm happy to do it for you. I'm curious. Would you allow me to diagnose your car to make sure that it is an oxygen sensor that's causing your check engine light? Because I know what you're really here to do is to get your vehicle repaired and turn off that light. In the event that it needs an oxygen sensor, it's still going to be the same price. But in the event that the oxygen sensor is not the root cause of it, there's two options. It could either be something simpler, which could save you money, or it could be something significantly more involved. Like, for example, you could have an onboard computer that is not interpreting a signal properly, and the oxygen sensor is sending a proper signal, but maybe your engine control module is not interpreting it the right way, and it's the point of failure. There's going to be a vast difference in the cost of the two. If you want me to just put the sensor in, I could do that, but if it doesn't fix the problem, we'll have to go back to re-diagnosing it if that's something that you want to accomplish. And I think it just goes back to, we just need to have an educated conversation with the customer and say, hey, you don't need to tell me how much money you want to spend. Just tell me what you're trying to accomplish. Are you just wanting to replace something, or are you trying to turn off a light? Are you trying to make something run better? Allow me the opportunity to advise you. If we come across genuinely, they'll allow us to do that more often than not. But there will always be the people that will come in and go, hey, my friend is a Toyota Master Tech. I trust him. He's, worked on my car before. He has just got the flu right now and he can't replace my water pump. So I want to pay you guys to do it, but I know it's the problem.
Yeah,
Sure.
I know.
Okay.
Yeah, I know. If I see that coming in on a ticket, like replace this, I'm like, what's really going on here? Because I don't want the customer to spend the money, and I don't want to be like, hey, you replace this and didn't check it. And so it's like making sure you have all the information, because that can backfire pretty quickly.
Yeah.
Um,
Some people might say that it's, well, it's not a really good business model to, question why the customer wants to spend money with you. It's a great way to sleep at night, though.
yeah, it's a very way to ruin a relationship in one swift go.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And then you get thrown under the bus, and then you look like the bad guy when in reality you were just working.
Right.
Working.
Right. Yeah.
We're only a few minutes into this conversation, but it sounds like most technicians out there who think they can do the service advisor's job, I think, even from where I'm sitting, seems like there's a lot more that goes into that role than some of those armchair technicians want to give advisors credit for. What are some common things, some like good and bad stuff, the relationship between advisors and technicians? What are some things you've seen and that you help on the advisor side with?
If I'm understanding your question correctly, and please correct me if I'm wrong, are you asking what are some of the best, I guess you could say, traits or qualities that service advisors have that benefit the technician advisor relationship? Is that kind of
Yeah, I think I asked like two questions in one there. It was basically just speaking on the technician to advisor relationship and how the importance of it and the importance of it.
Yeah, I think one of the biggest things, really, in any just working relationship is being open-minded to understand what the other person's going through. It is not easy to be underneath a car. If you're in the north and you got ice on it, you're getting dripped on all day long while it's in the shop. That's not fun. If you're, working on a rusted car, you're spending extra time, spraying PB Blaster or liquid wrench or whatever the new stuff is now. That it's none of that stuff is fun. Yes, it's a job that we do, but none of that stuff is fun. It's difficult, and it's might be fun to change your oil on a Saturday every 6 months and crack open a beer or whatever, but that's not what it's like doing it every single day, right? It's also not fun being on the service drive and having 3 different things going on at the same time, and somebody yells at you and says, "Hey, there's a customer on the drive, get up and get them," and feeling like you're constantly frantically running around like a chicken with your head cut off and constantly, feeling like you're just this bearer of bad news and upsetting people. And none of that stuff is fun. I think that both of these jobs have different stressors in different ways. And ultimately, we're responsible to the customer. We all work for the customer. It's not my customer, your customer, his, hers. It's ours. The customer that comes in, they're the ones that help us pay our bills, that keep us in business. And when we allow the other party to become the enemy, we're no longer serving the customer best. One of the things that I remember specifically from my days as a service advisor was the day that I went back to wash and spent the day washing cars. And I remember how poor of a job I did on like the 3rd or the 4th car that I washed, because I was tired of washing cars. Like, I didn't want to wash cars anymore. And I remember being 16 years old, and on Fridays, one of my favorite things to do was I would wash my car, and then I would like go meet up with my car buddies and go like Starbucks or something or whatever we did, But my dad's rule was always, well, you got to wash my car, mama's car, and then you can wash your car. And sometimes I would try to convince him, hey, let me wash my car first, because I knew I would do a better job on the first car than I did for the 3rd one. Right. It just kind of, goes to show that when we do something on kind of just on repeat, we don't do it the 100th time with the same level of like precision and consistency unless we really, really, really mean to. And as a service advisor, there's a lot of things that we do on repeat all the time. And there's a lot of situations that are very similar all the time. It's always too much. It's always so much money for this diag. It's always this. And we get fed up with the customers. On the technician's end, we always get poor write-ups. It's I'm waiting on my recommendations. I send requests. Nobody ever sells me anything. I call this the downward vortex. It's, well, if you would sell something, I would take the time and do a good video. I would take the time to send you recommendations, but it seems like it's just a waste of my time. And on the flip side, it's, well, if I would ever were to get a good recommendation or a good explanation, then I would try. And someone at some point has to step out of this downward vortex and say, no, I'm going to do my job 100%. And then the other party can then be held accountable by not me, because I'm not the one that does that. It's the management team. The other party then can be held accountable, and you can say, hey, look, your technicians have been getting you good MPI videos every single day this week. You haven't presented but 43% of the time. Why? It's my fault at that point. I think one of the biggest things to speak on here is just recognizing that nobody on either party has an easy job, and nobody on either side can do the job by themselves. We rely on one another to serve the customer. And when we can place ourselves in the other person's shoes and say, yeah, I would be upset too if I was standing around for 45 minutes not having a car to work on, and then a tire patch comes in the moment I was getting ready to grab my keys to go to lunch. I'd be frustrated too, right? What am I doing as a service advisor to bring in work for my technicians? I was sitting in a dealership last month, and it was slow. And so I said, okay, pull up Auto Trader, do a search for every single car that sells the brand that we have, and look at all the dealerships that are not franchise stores. Look at all the mom and pop, A and B auto sales, buy here, pay here place. They have their VIN numbers listed. Take that VIN number, put it in your database, see if they got an open recall. Call them up. Say, hey, you got an open recall in the car. I'm 4 miles down the road from you. Bring it over here. Let me take care of that recall. Then you could sell your car to the customer with a closed recall. It's free for you. Brings me work in. Right? Like, as a service advisor, am I looking for those opportunities like that to bring in work for my technicians? I guarantee you, as a service advisor, you go to a tech and you go, hey, here are all the things that I'm doing to help bring in work for you. Yeah, I know it's not, a 2-hour break job that's gravy, but you see that someone's actually looking out for you and trying to bring something in. There's a different way that it fortifies that relationship between the two.
Yeah, the relationship between the technician and the service advisor is an important thing. Without that being as a main function of the service department, it can't run correctly. I mean, what are other ways you kind of dealt with technicians, like especially hard-headed technicians who kind of aren't the most welcoming when you try and like communicate with them? Like, I know a lot of advisors, they actually come up to me. They don't like send a text or anything. They come up to me, hey, bro, how's the car going? When do you think it's going to get done? They frequently communicate through True Video and as well as through CDK on the computer. And they also come up to me.
Yeah. I as technicians, and I've never been paid to work on a car. So I've never been a tech, just for, full disclosure, so if I kind of go off, in something here that's not quite right, feel free to call me out on it. But I think both parties have gotten burned a lot of times, right? Everybody that's been a service advisor at one point has called a customer and been like, hey, you need a door panel or you need a window regulator. And the guy goes, oh, no, I just, put it back together. I'm going to come pick it up, pay my diag. He comes in and picks up and he goes, hey, my door panel is not put back on, right? Like, everybody that's been a service advisor has had something like that happen before, where a technician at some point has dropped the ball. Every technician at some point has had a service advisor that's dropped the ball. Oh man, yikes. Can you get this done in like 2 hours? Because I told him and I forgot, blah, blah, blah. Like, there's everybody's been in that kind of a bind before. And when you've got that technician that's, maybe, I don't want to say hard-headed, but maybe they've just had a lot of just bad experiences and maybe they're a little jaded or, whatever that might be. I think one of the most powerful things that we could do as service advisors is just humanize ourselves and just have conversations, get to know that person. Chances are that the advisors that come up to you and they ask you, hey, how's this looking? Some of them probably take the time to talk to you about other things when they go back there. And other times they come back, or others just come back there and they strictly talk to you about the car. And you're going to help both of them, because it's your job to help both of them, right? But you're probably going to be much happier and much more communicative or much more willing to kind of take a break and talk to them when it's the ones that actually show an interest in you. If you want to be interesting, you have to be interested. If you want people to find you interesting in any way, shape, or form, you have to actually show interest in what they want to talk about. If I want to talk about golf, I'm a horrible golfer, by the way, but if I want to talk about golf and you guys want to talk about technician stuff. Football. Yeah, football. Sorry. Yeah.
Technician
I'm like
stuff.
blanking on something, right? You guys want to talk about football, right? And the entire time that you guys talk about football, I'm like, oh yeah, football sucks. Like I bet no. That's why are we even talking about this right now? I want to talk about golf. How interested would you guys be in talking about golf with me if I showed no interest in you? Right? It's just natural kind of human response. If you're not willing to really talk to me about what I'm interested in, like why should I be interested in you? It's like if, I'm a new person on your team and I'm unwilling to trust the two of you with anything. Like you say, hey man, I'm headed up to the front. You want me to take that paper for you up to Joanne or whatever? And I say to you, no, that's okay. I'm going to walk it up there myself. I want to make sure she gets it. You're going to go, oh, okay. Right. Now, are you going to trust me with something to be done? Or are you going to go, oh, okay, this guy doesn't want to trust me with something simple. He doesn't, okay, whatever, right? If I'm pushing you away, you're going to push me away back. One of the most impactful things that we could do as technicians is just, as service advisors is just take a moment to get to know your technicians. Take some time to have conversation about what their interests are. The same exact way we do this with customers. Customer comes in and they've got a license plate frame. Like, okay, my wife, on her Expedition, she has a license plate frame that says, if I get a ticket, it better be to Disney World. Okay? She loves Disney. I've become a Disney dad since having kids and being married to her, right? Like, you talk to her about Disney, she's going to be excited, right? As a service advisor, if she takes her car in for service, which she doesn't because she's married to me and I take care of all the service stuff because I'm the service guy or whatever, right? But if she did, and they would go, oh my gosh, this is funny. Are you a big Disney person? She's going to start talking about that, right? Dale Carnegie says that the most beautiful sound to anybody is the sound of their own name, right? People love to talk about themselves, right? Why not walk up to a technician and look at one of the 35 stickers they have on their box, because they all do, and make small talk about that. I'm not talking about doing it when it's like, 13 cars on the drive, but we all have time throughout the day at some point to just get to know somebody. Show interest. And that person will be much more likely to show interest in you. And then it's not just, well, I'm going to, work on this car for this guy. It's, I'm going to work on this car for my friend that works here.
It's like you're taking care of each other.
Exactly. Just that it's that mutual understanding that we can't do this job alone. I need the other person to help me deliver on the promises that I make. By the way, as service advisors, we actually do not produce anything. There's two people in a dealership that produce something. Salespeople, they produce the sale and they get a car out on the road. And technicians, they produce the labor hours. Service advisors do not produce anything. They make a promise that then has to be delivered. It's like, I don't know. It's like the F&I person. They don't get an opportunity to contract the deal or present, a service contract or a gap product or something like that unless that car has been sold by the salesperson. If you want to kind of talk about who actually produces things, it's the technician. It's one of the only two in a dealership model that actually produces anything. It's funny. One of my favorite questions to ask advisors is, what is your inventory? Right? New cars, they sell new cars. Used cars, they sell used cars. Parts sells parts. F&I sells windshield contracts or, whatever. What is it that we sell in service? And they say, oh, we sell service or we sell peace of mind. It's false. Our inventory is time. It's technicians' time. Every single day, X number of technicians show up. And each of them are capable, if you leave them alone for X amount. Curtis, you're capable of how many hours in a day? If people leave you alone and the work is there, 25?
Curtis, there was 60.
65? I don't know, man.
25 sounds good. Hey, that sounds like a good deal to me.
Yeah. If people leave you alone and the work is there and the parts are there, you're capable of doing that. Do you know others that are not capable of that?
Yeah.
Sure. You and I know some people together that you could put all the work in front of them. They're not capable of that, right? They don't work at that pace. Their age maybe, or their inexperience, or whatever it might be. And I'm not hating on any of that stuff in any way, shape, or form. It's just truth, right? So every day, X number of technicians show up, and each of them is on average capable of X amount of produced hours. That's your inventory. At the end of the day, it expires. One of the best measures of the service advisor's effectiveness is how much of that time that we have available every single day are we turning into produced labor hours. And then how are we supporting the technicians to do that? Or are we just throwing a bunch of stuff back there and just like, hey, get it done, right? Or are we actually supporting them in doing that? Whether it's through technology that allows them to stay in their stall whenever it is that they need something to communicate to us, or do we have there's dealership models out there where they have parts available in the shop in various cabinets where they don't have to go to parts for a cabin filter, right? And there's dealerships out there that don't have that, where a technician has to go up to parts and wait 7 minutes, waste an hour and a half every single day just getting oil filters, right? And so there's a lot of different nuances there, but at the end of the day, that time expires. And so what are we doing to turn our available inventory every single day, not only to bring a profit for the dealership, ultimately that is a big goal of it, but most importantly, it's how do we actually resolve the customer's problem? The customer's problem is going to be resolved by producing labor, by actually fixing the whatever the problem is, right? Lowering our cycle time, and then ultimately the technician's able to earn a living. We can get into a lot of weeds on this. Sorry.
No, you're covering all the bases. We barely have to ask the questions. You're hitting all the nails on the head. I think I've never, as a person who does communicate with my advisors and works with them as a team and understands all these things you're explaining, I've never understood why technicians are so upset and hard to work with, or they insult, or they're unfriendly, like all the negative stuff I'm sure you've heard as an advisor trainer. I'm just trying to see if there's a way to, explain the benefit further for technicians to invest their time. And you've showed how, you've explained how, and if technicians take the time to invest their time into getting to know their advisors and helping their advisors, that benefit back to them is just like tenfold. Mm-hmm. It's just like I've never understood why techs are so reluctant to do that.
So I can't speak necessarily to that, just simply because I do not spend the vast majority of my time in the shop in that environment. But I do know why service advisors have a lot of resistance to that. There's this really weird. I don't even know what the right word is for it, but it's almost like a feeling that a lot of advisors in our country have. And I see it in a lot of different places, highline, import, domestic, whatever, it doesn't really matter. Most of the time they have a very low view of their job. They feel like they don't do something very prestigious. And it's almost like I'm just the middle person. Like I just give people bad news. But everybody's upset when they come to service. When they go to sales, they're happy, they're buying a car. Not really, because they might have just wrecked the other one and now they're buying a car that they don't want to buy and don't have the money for. Right? Like that's not always the case up front. But most service advisors have a really low view of what they do, and if they're really, really being honest, they don't feel like they're like out there, making a difference in the world, which a lot of us millennials really, really like feed off of. We want to make a difference. We want to feel like we do something that matters. And in this job, you have to really look for that. And it doesn't come often, but it does. There are times when we tell people about things that they need to know that could save their life. And I'm not a motivational speaker. Look, I'm not a life coach or anything like that. But I have to. What's that?
You sound like it though, man.
Well, thanks. Maybe I should do that on the side. But There are times when I walk into a store and I have to hype these people up and remind them that what they do delivers on the dealer's promise. People buy cars and they go to
Carmack?
ABC Motors.
ABC Motors, okay? Yeah, ABC Motors, they have their tagline. Like most dealers in America have a tagline or saying of some kind, like, we'll treat you like family, or, buy here, best price ever, we're the best because we're the best, or whatever that is, right? Like all dealers have a tagline, right? You could think of the ones you work for right now, right? That's the dealer's promise. That's the dealer saying, hey, you could buy a Chevy from here, there, from there. You can fly to Washington State and drive it home. You can go to Hawaii, buy it there, ship it over here, right? You can buy one from wherever. But here's why you should buy one from me. That's the dealer's promise. Like we have our favorite businesses that we like to go to, or favorite restaurants. And it's not even like the biggest differentiator that makes us go there. It's like the small things, like, oh, I like going to this food truck because, oh my gosh, like the dude always knows me. Or I like going to this coffee shop because they always are like, oh yeah, I got your order right there. Like it's always those small little nuances that make us really, really like latch on to, different places. Like if you want a dinner, you can go get good food at hundreds of different places. But we have our favorite ones because of small little things that make us feel different about it, or whatever it might be. In this world, in the automotive business, there's countless options. You can buy a car from wherever. We buy them because we're promised certain things that, hey, when there's a problem, we'll be there, or when you need us, we're going to be there for you. In service, that's where the rubber meets the road. People will come in and they go, hey, they said this. I was told that. If we say no all the time, they'll go, oh yeah, you guys are just like everybody else. But if we can work to find a way to say yes when it's all too easy to say no, we make a difference in the customer's mind and prove to them that they chose the right dealership to do business with. As a service advisor, we have to remember that we hold a ton of power. They see their salesperson once every 3 years, or however often they buy a car. They come see us several times a year. We are the people that are relationship builders, and we get to do it in just a few seconds sometimes, or we have to do it in just a few seconds sometimes. I think if we can understand kind of the depth of what we do at the service advisor level, we'll think differently of the jobs that we have. Yes, it's long hours. Yes, it's challenging. There are a lot of jobs that are like that. We're not roughnecks, okay? We're not like inches away from, crazy, utter danger. We're not, out there on a crab fishing ship in the Arctic Sea with, 70-foot swells or whatever. Like, we are just dealing with people. We're communicating with people. We're solving problems, helping people think through things. I have a service advisor friend of mine here in the Houston area. We're having a conversation about whether or not it's good to give your cell phone number out to a customer. And he goes, I don't know why I wouldn't do that. I give my cell phone number to all of my customers. He goes, when someone has a problem, I don't want them calling or wondering who to call. I want them to call me because they trust me. I was like, okay, that's a really interesting way to think about it. He goes, sometimes people don't need you to fix something. Sometimes people don't need you to fix their car as much as they need you to help them fix their schedule. Because their car's got a problem. They're trying to figure out how to go to work or pick up their kids or make soccer practice or whatever it is. And they just need somebody to help them understand what's possible and what's not possible. Here, I'll leave you with this on this one. And I don't know how much time we have, but you guys like Chick-fil-A? Yeah, most people like Chick-fil-A, right? If you went with me to Chick-fil-A, but you are not feeling a chicken sandwich, you wanted a
Cobb salad.
Burger. A what?
Cobb salad.
A Cobb salad. No. You want a burger. All right. And we went to Chick-fil-A together. Would you order a burger at the counter?
No.
Why not? You want a burger.
They don't
sell burgers. They don't have the option to do it. Asking would be ridiculous. Now, if we went to Chili's, You got Chili's in North Carolina? Yeah, you do. You know what Chili's? Yeah. Yeah. TGI Fridays, whatever, right? And you saw the smokehouse burger. It's got the crispy onions. It's got the barbecue sauce, the bacon, the cheddar cheese. But you're like, you know what? It's January. I'm eating clean. I'm not going to have a burger patty. I want grilled chicken. Would you feel comfortable saying, hey, I want the smokehouse burger, but instead of the burger patty, can I do grilled chicken instead? Would you feel comfortable doing that?
Smokehouse grilled chicken.
Yeah, you would. Why? Because they sell grilled chicken sandwiches there. We do not ask for things that we know is not possible because we don't want to be told no. Nobody likes to be told no or to look ridiculous. But if we believe something is possible, then we ask if it can be done. As service advisors, we think a lot, oh man, people just have these unrealistic expectations. Like, no, they just don't know. If they didn't think it could be possible, they would never ask. So we need to stop looking at people's unrealistic expectations as unrealistic expectations, and we need to look at them as a teaching opportunity. You know, Mr. and Mrs. Customer, I can appreciate that you'd like to have this done under these circumstances, but let me tell you a little bit about how this works and why that might not be possible. Approaching those scenarios with more compassion or care or more understanding will take us so much farther. And it's those exact same skills that we take into the workplace internally with our internal customers, our parts counter people, our service technicians. Hey, you know, Curtis, I can appreciate that you want me to get you an answer on this right away, but let me tell you about what I've got going on right now. Taking the time to communicate effectively serves us not just with our external customers, but our internal customers as well.
I mean, yeah, communication is king, and it's going to remain king as well, especially with, I mean, you were a service advisor for a long time. You communicated with customers, you communicated with technicians, you also communicated with your service manager, which you then became. So I do want a little bit of insight on how was it as a service manager, and how did you also manage the technician with service advisor beef, or their relationship, you could say?
Yeah. So what's really funny is one of the most I had the opportunity of being promoted to a manager in the same store that I was previously an advisor in, which is really interesting dynamic, right? Because on Monday you're peers, and then on Tuesday you're the supervisor, right? And so it takes a little bit of time for people to kind of understand, oh, there's a reason why you're getting onto me this now when yesterday you were partaking in it, right? But one of the most challenging things in kind of this dynamic is understanding that everybody's motivated by something different. And not everybody is motivated by money as their number one motivation. Everybody is motivated in some way by money. That's why they're at work. If they were not motivated by money, then they wouldn't have a job. But some people are not motivated by money as the number one motivator. In fact, I've never had a service advisor quit because they did not make enough money. But I've had plenty quit because they wanted, you know, more time off, or they wanted to not work Saturdays, or, you know, they were whatever it was, right? Or it's too far away, or, you know, whatever it is, right? Understanding that people are motivated by different things is a massive, massive unlock when it comes to managing people, and getting to know each person individually to figure out what it is that they're motivated by is absolutely key. If you know that you got a technician that's got, you know, little kids like Curtis and I, right? We got little kids, right? Being mindful of the fact that being able to get out of work at the time that they're supposed to be out of work at is a huge component to the work-life balance. That'd be a crucial thing that I want to know, right? And that would be something that I would as a manager, I might communicate to my advisors. I might say, hey, look, when you're working with our team members, here's something you got to know. Billy over here, you know, he's got to work. You know, he's you know, he lives 3 minutes away, right? We don't want to take advantage of the fact that he lives 3 minutes away. We don't want to be like, oh, okay, come into work really quick because you're right here. Be mindful of that. You know, Sam over here lives an hour and 10 minutes away. Be mindful of the fact that he lives an hour and 10 minutes away. Do not abuse, you know, his time in the afternoon, because the difference of him leaving at 4:30 versus 4:45 could mean an extra 30 minutes of traffic. right? Do not wait until the end of the day to get him answers. Work harder to get him answers earlier in the day, right? Whatever that dynamic might be, as a service manager, I would still encourage managers to this day is figure out what motivates your different people. I've done exercises like this in dealerships that I've been in. Figure out what motivates your people, whether it's your service technicians, your shop foremen, your advisors, whoever it might be, and then make sure that we play to those strengths, not take advantage of people or play them, but just speak to that.
100%.
I love it. I love it. It's I mean, that's not even just managing people, but just having like a good relationship and you want to be successful in your job is those same tactics, or not tactics, but like traits and skills go into everything. If you want things to flow smooth from tech to advisor, tech to parts, and all it takes is a few questions, a few minutes of your time to communicate. And I think that's the biggest thing that I've taken away from our conversation today is just communicate, and communicate. Yeah. And then learn how to be a better communicator once you're done.
I don't know how much time we have, but do we have time for me to share one last thing?
Yeah. We can do that. And then I was going to just ask if you had any questions for us or anything that you wanted to chat about specifically. We finish up here. So yeah, go for it.
I read this really interesting book by Brené Brown. She's a professor here in the Houston area. And she's written lots of books called Dare to Lead. And one of the big things that she talks about in this book is that most people see vulnerability and confidence as being on the opposite end of the spectrum. It plays into that kind of old saying of, never let them see you sweat kind of thing, right? Like, oh, if I'm confident, I'm never vulnerable. I'm never in a position where I'm, admitting that I don't know everything, admitting that I need help or whatever it might be. But the reality is that those two things, she argues, are right next to one another. In order to be confident and to lead confidently, you have to show vulnerability. People know you're sweating before you even know you're sweating in most cases, right? And it starts with communication. There's a few different levels of communication. The first level is what we call cliches. It's just, hey, what's going on? How's it going? Oh, good, right? You throw out just a surface level question and you expect back. You could literally like call it what the answer is going to be, right? Like, how's it going? Oh, good. How are you? Good, right? Right. Those are typical, sort of like surface level cliches. The next level of communication is reporting basic facts. Like, hey, how's it going? Oh, I'm here, right? You've all had a coworker that you've asked, hey man, what's going on? And they go, I'm here, aren't I? Right? It's like, duh, right? I see that you're here. But it's just reporting basic facts, right? It's, it's a good day, it's sunny outside. The next level of, by the way, most of the time our conversations kind of hover in these two first levels. When we go a little bit deeper, it's sharing a feeling. So, hey, how's it going? Oh, good. I'm here. Whew, I'm a little tired today. We're peeling back a little bit of the layer of vulnerability. I'm sharing a feeling, right? Sometimes we dive into this third level, but it takes a little bit more conversation. We can't do it in 10 seconds, right? We got to dive a little bit deeper than that. After that, after we share a feeling, we might go a little bit deeper and we might share what's the right word to put here? A worry of some kind. We might share like a worry. Like, hey, how's it going? Oh, good, here. Whew, a little tired. Worried I won't make it through the day. And then the deepest level of communication is where we share a fear, where we talk about something I'm fearful of, because that's the ultimate level of vulnerability. Man, it's been slow, man. If it doesn't pick up, man, I don't know if I'm going to be able to make my car payment, right? We don't really go into those deeper levels of communication very often with people. We just kind of hover in the cliches and reporting the facts. But if we intentionally take the time to kind of dive into a little bit of a deeper, we get to know people a lot better.
It's
You got to be confident in your vulnerability. That's how I kind of see it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it. Yeah, I mean, just learning, like taking some communication classes and stuff like that, and it's all about the question. It's how you ask the question, and it's all about how you're answering the question. And is it a surface level question? Are you peeling back for more, or are you just saying you're just? Is it like you say, a cliche where it's just, well, you just walked by somebody, so you're just saying, hey, because you. It's kind of like the right thing to do. Is no like deeper level connection. Do you, as we kind of wrap things up here, is there anything that you want to ask us about or just touch base on before we finish up here?
Sure. As a service advisor trainer, what would be, what would be the most, some of the most impactful things that you would want, a voice like mine, to be sharing with our friends, up front, what would be some of the things that you would want me to speak on or to speak about, or what are some of the things that you see the biggest need to address?
Kind of just putting yourself in the other person's shoe. Just
Sure.
be empathetic, really. Like, just understand what we're going through, and try to be transparent enough to where the technician can somewhat understand what you're going through as well, and then both parties can be like, dang, bro, I ain't gonna lie, I feel bad for you. Dang, brother, I feel bad for you too. So it's like, so you both can share and build some camaraderie over each other's struggles. I think that should be focused on a lot more, if anybody can focus on it.
Absolutely. I mean, just think about your longest friendships. You have some really great memories together. Maybe it was a fun, vacation somewhere, but your friendships probably grew the most when you went through a really tough time together, possibly.
Yeah.
So if we can put ourselves in the other person's shoes and kind of go through the suck together in a way, it makes it a little bit easier.
Yeah, then the good go be even better. You're gonna sell a gravy ticket, and then you're gonna come out to the technician and be like, hey man, I just sold you a 10-hour job. And he's gonna be like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, I'd have to agree with. I mean, to be fair, you covered so many things in here that I think both parties need to be a part of more, and just investing that little piece into understanding what the other person is going through, like putting yourselves in their shoes and being respectful of their time and their situations, because sometimes it's, sometimes we forget that those people have a life outside of what they're doing every day. And so it's just being mindful of others, I think is one thing. But Jay, did you have a question you were going to ask before we went on down there? It looked like you were.
Yeah. Yes, sir. Paul, I have one more thing to ask you, and it's kind of related to another podcast we did. We had a guest. We had a guest, and he was disgruntled with his pay and the way his management was handling it. So I'm wondering, because you were a service manager, so let's say a technician comes up to you and feels severely underpaid, but is also in the position where he's felt severely underpaid and appreciated for so long that his work ethic isn't at the level that you would prioritize paying him more. How do you handle a situation like that? And especially if he comes up to you asking for a raise?
Sure. I think that's a wonderful question. Here's why, because, as a service manager, I want to pay my technicians in a, not comfortable, that's not the right word. I want to pay them in a competitive, that's the right word I was looking for, in a competitive manner, right? Because every technician will tell you, my toolbox has wheels on it, I can roll it out of here. So I want to be competitive. I also want to reward the right things. I want to maintain my overall shop morale, my overall shop culture, over prioritizing one particular individual. If this particular individual comes up and is just, beating me up about making more money, but they are not contributing positively to the environment, they are not exhibiting all of those things, I would just have a very frank conversation. I would say, I want to do that. I want to pay you more, and I believe that you deserve more. But I think that the version of you that deserved more was about 60 days ago. Can we bring back 60 days ago version of you, where you contributed, where you were not, instigating or whatever that was, whatever that is. And it may not even be anything that, it may just be someone that's just, more mopey, right? I may just have a really direct conversation about that, and I would just say, look, I want to do that for you, and I think that you've got the certification to do that. I'd like to put together an improvement plan. You're not going to be written up or something, but I just want to meet with you again in 15 days, in 30 days, in 45 days. And I want us to work towards that together. I think I would just have a really open conversation. And one of the things that I've discovered is, if you can, whether you're the manager or whether you're the person reporting to the manager, if you can help the other person understand that the decisions you are making, they would make the exact same if they were in your shoes. If you can help that person understand that it's not, well, it's just how I feel. No. The decision I'm making, you would do too. If the roles were reversed, you would say the exact same thing to me, which is why we're more in agreement than we are in disagreement. Let's work together at figuring out a way to help you be deserving of that pay, and I will give it to you all day long if I'm capable of doing it. Now, if my gross profit percentage is in the 60s because I've already overpaid my technicians by $5, more than I should have, and I cannot afford to do that, then I would probably have that conversation as well. And I'd say, look, I'd be happy to do that, but we are not making enough money for me to do that. There are certain numbers and parameters I have to stay within in order for this business to be successful. Now, can we brainstorm together and figure out ways that we can bring in more money and be more profitable? 100%. Let's do it. And then let's in turn give a portion of that earnings, back to you in a raise.
Well said. Well said. For any technicians that are watching this, you needed to hear that. And if you skipped it, you need to go back to it. Also, speaking about working together. Now, what are the key points or a key important things that technicians do to deserve that raise that you specifically looked at when you were a service manager? Just to kind of point out for technicians a good way to present themselves and sell themselves to their service manager to get a raise.
Sure. I mean, it's been a while since I've been in that role, but a few things that kind of come off the top of my head. First and foremost is the qualification level, right? I mean, as a technician, are you hungry to gain more certification? Are you demonstrating that you want to, excel in your role? Are you saying, hey, I've never done that job before, to the shop foreman? Can I get a shot at that the next time one of those things come in? I really want to learn that too. Hey, I see we only got, 2 people that do, EVs. Can I be certified to do EVs? What will be my track? Showing that intention, asking for those opportunities, knowing full well that you might mess up something along the way. That's cool. I have no problems with that. I think that would be one of the first things that I would really look for. And then secondly, I am a huge proponent of, what do you bring to the table outside of just your skills? How does your presence here better us as a team? Are you the first person to, complain about something but not bring up a solution? Or are you someone that says, hey, we've been smacking our heads against this for 3 weeks. Can we do something different? Here's one idea. Even if your idea is not the best idea, it shows me as a manager that you are looking to solve a problem and not just complain. I think that's everybody that's in a dealership sees different things from various different vantage points. You might walk in every single day and you go, Paul, our back door every day it gets louder and squeakier and more ricketier. Can we fix that? Man, I'm sorry, I didn't even notice that. Thank you for bringing that up. That tells me that you're looking out for how our facility operates, for the place where we work. Do you take pride in your area? Do you do all of the things to be beyond reproach where you could say, hey, I tried. I communicated. I sent a text. I tried. I've done all the things that I could do. It's in someone else's court now, right? As a technician, do you show those initiatives? I think those would be a first few ways that I would look at. Is someone deserving of and this is beside the fact of if they're already qualified for more, but maybe they just haven't gotten a raise in a little bit, right? If they're qualified to earn more, I'd be happy to give them a little bit more if I'm able to afford it, even if they didn't ask for it. One, to keep them happy, to make them feel valued, and to help them understand that that they don't have to be the ones that look for that stuff all the time. That, as a manager, I look for those opportunities for them to earn more.
I'm sorry about the sneeze, man. I tried to reach for the mute button and it beat me to it.
It's all good. No worries. Bless you.
But that was amazingly well put. I mean, technicians, first qualifications, and then other avenues like leadership in the shop, stepping out, getting the hard job, doing the diags that no one else wants to do. Those are easy ways for the service manager and the management to even notice you. I mean, that's what's put me and Curtis in the positions we are today. So, I mean, if we can do it, anybody else can do it. I mean, just
that's right.
Stick your head in there.
Don't get me wrong. Going the extra mile does not mean doing things for free. I believe everybody should be fairly compensated for the work that they do. Every once in a while, you may have to say, hey, you know what? I'll bring that my way. I'll take care of that real quick, right? Every once in a while. But that does not mean that you need to just, to be noticed, I just got to just, sell all my time to everybody else and, make everybody else's priorities mine. No, that's not what that means.
There's got to be a fine line of helping out and also making sure you're well put and you're not getting taken advantage of. Some people lose themselves between that. So that's a good way to look at it. Curtis, do you have anything else?
No, I am soaking up all the good stuff here. There was so much useful stuff here that, I think a lot of people have questions about, and I hope that people are listening or are taking time to. I feel like I've been using this saying so often recently, but I feel like it gives people opportunity to really just look in the mirror and reflect on how they can be better before they approach a situation and point fingers. I think the situation is look in the mirror before you look out the window. And I just like that saying is just telling with me. But Paul, are you still doing social media stuff? Where can people find you at on social media?
Yeah, a great way to find me is on LinkedIn, which is my first and last name, Paul Dosescu. It's a great way to find me. I'm looking to be more active there. I have a wonderful opportunity coming up in a week at NADA 2026. I will be delivering a workshop on February the 4th at 3:30 p.m. Pacific time. So if you are watching and you are going to be at NADA, come to room W as in whiskey 203. My coworker and I will be putting together a workshop on how to unlock the 90-day potential, which is going to be for hiring people that have more than just day one talents, looking for the difference between a talent and a skill, which there is a difference between the two. If you're watching this after NADA, then hopefully I did a good job. You can find me on other social media like Instagram. It's just my first and last name, Paul Dosescu. I'm not as active on there. I'm active on TikTok, which is, again, my first and last name, Paul Dosescu. It's mainly just service advisor, service world, skits and funny stuff. Not as much focused on the advisor end. I kind of keep my day job kind of out of that and just trying to kind of just get in front of people with a little bit of humor, clean humor, that is. Just a great way to reach you is just my first name my last name at gmail.com. You're welcome to reach out to me at any time.
Awesome.
Heck yeah. Plugged everything in.
Yeah.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, it's been another wonderful episode of the WOT Podcast with Paul Dosescu. I got the last name there and I got it out.
All right.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, have a good one. We'll see you next time.
Thank you so much, guys.